Hello everyone, I'm very glad to stand here and have the opportunity to start my presentation. My topic today is about China's family and marriage. Let's focus on this picture. China is the most populous country in the world, with a population of more than 1.4 billion people as of 2021. It accounts for 18.7% of the world's population. China has a very high population density, with most of the population concentrated in urban and coastal areas, in the eastern and central regions. However, it's not hard to see that the gap between India's population and China's population is already very small. Experts predict that India's total population will overtake China as the world's most populous country in the future. This is the result of the one-child policy implemented by the Chinese government in the last century. China's birth rate has been declining year by year. We can see this timeline when it comes to China's one-child policy. China's demographic structure is developing and changing. Since the Chinese government decided to implement the one-child policy in 1979, the birth rate in China has been in an downward trend of decreasing for several decades. The proportion of elderly people in China is growing fast as the country's urbanization process accelerates and fertility rates decline, and the proportion of young people is much smaller. China also faces a male imbalance due to its long-standing one-child policy. Also, the policy was lifted at the end of 2016. It has had a certain impact on the Chinese population. Even in 2021, the Chinese government further expanded the three-child policy, but now young Chinese are facing delayed marriage and childbearing, or even no marriage at all. This has led to a decline in China's birth rates year after year. In general, China's population planning and structure have had a profound impact on the development of the economy, society, and government. As can be seen from the next chart, the birth rate of Chinese population is on a downward trend. Since the introduction of the one-child policy in 1979, China's birth rate has risen from about 18% to about 22%. It dropped to 20% in the early 1980s, but soon rose to around 23% since the late 1980s. However, China's birth rate has been falling every year from a peak of 23%. By 2005, the birth rate has stabilized at about 12%. In 2016, there was a short-term increase in the birth rate after the implementation of the two-child policy, but soon there was another rapid downward trend. This section discusses the benefits of the one-child policy. Controlling the demographic growth rate, the one-child policy limited the number of women in the family, reducing the birth rate while controlling the rate of population growth and reducing the pressure of competition for resources. Speeding up domestic economic development. Too fast population growth may lead to excessive economic burden, which can be avoided by the one-child policy, enabling the country to make better use of limited resources and power, thus promoting economic development. Reducing the damage to the environment. Increasing population will lead to increased pressure on the environment. The one-child policy reduces the number of people and reduces the emission of waste gas and the pressure of the environment. Improve the quality of the population. The one-child policy can give parents more time and energy to take care of the health and education of their only child. thus improving the quality of the population. There are disadvantages as well as advantages. Population aging. Due to the implementation of the one-child policy, China's fertility rate has declined significantly, resulting in a serious imbalance in population structure. The proportion of the old population keeps rising while the proportion of the young population keeps falling. The problem of population aging has become increasingly serious, which brings a huge burden to the social pension problem. Labor shortage. The implementation of the one-child policy has caused a shortage of young labor supply, which has brought certain pressure on the production of enterprises and economic development. Gender imbalance. China's long-standing one-child policy is influenced by traditional Chinese beliefs that favor boys in some places. The result is a serious gender imbalance in some areas of the population. The last part, the one-child policy was replaced to match the current national conditions, increasing the future young labor force, relieve the pressure of the aging society. But since the one-child policy was abolished, the birth rate was not rebounded as expected. On the contrary, the birth rate is still falling. Clearly, young people's desire to have children is not linked to current policies. More stress from all aspects of life. Not only have to deal with the pressure from work, but also the difficulties in life. If there is also the problem of raising children, it is also mental and physical damage to young people. Therefore, more and more young people advocate late marriage and childbearing, or even no marriage. So, for the Chinese government, abolishing the one-child policy will not bring about a big change in the birth rates. Instead, it should encourage young people to boost the country's birth rate through a range of social benefits. This is my reference list. Thank you.